everyone, it's Jamie and welcome back to my channel. I am here today and it's the end of October, so this is going to be an October / end of September update. It's been like a really long time since my last video, but my kids were still home for a few weeks since my last video. They finally went back to school, which means it's finally quiet. I can stitch alone and in peace, which is so nice. It's been months since that has happened, and so yeah, I am here for my update. Since my last video, I worked on the Lunar Princess Stitch Along from Sleeping Luna Designs. It is a Sailor Moon inspired stitch along, and I will insert here, we'll put it on the side this time, where I was before my last video, and here is where I am now. I have been working on filling in these circles, and then after I fill in the circles, I'm going to be going back in and filling in the sections between the circles. And then there's still so much to do because there are supposed to be bunnies on both sides, and then there are supposed to be stars down here and up at the top. And then there is supposed to be a big rose here. And then you're supposed to fill in the area around the rose with yellow and make the outline of a moon. So yeah, just imagine all that. It will be beautiful when it's done. I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it. This is being stitched on 28 count even weave that I dyed myself, 2/1 full cross. The color here does not really look that accurate. The color I think on my Instagram is more accurate than this is showing up, but the lighting here today sucks because it's Washington and it's fall, which means it's going to be gray and cloudy until, you know, summer. I don't know. Maybe next year we'll see the sun again. So there was that. And then for like a day or two, I worked on Pandemic by Long Dog Sampler, and I will insert over here where I was the last time that you saw it. And here is where I am now. I am stitching this on 16 count, 2/1 full cross, and I started working on to page 2. So this diagonal here goes on to page 2, and then I also started filling in this part here with the bird and all of these. So I am loving this. I decided I didn't want to do just one color for this chart. I wanted to do multiple colors. So I picked a color from basically every of the color families. I picked a red, purple, blue, green, yellow, orange, and yeah, I'm loving it. And I can't wait to be able to work on it again, but I have been really focused on my full coverage chart that I've been working on, which you will see in a second. So the next chart that I have to show is I was wanting to work on something small one day, and I had been looking at charts on the website Sprite Stitch. Sprite Stitch is a website that has a lot of patterns that people make themselves, and it's usually characters from like movies or video games or other popular things that you may be into. So if you search on their forum, you can find little charts for pretty much anything. So what I decided to do is stitch some of the characters from the show Bleach. So I started with the character Rukia, and here she is, fully finished. And then I plan on stitching the character Orihime and Ichigo next. And then I stitched this on a huge piece of fabric, and what my plan is to take a bunch of the charts from Sprite Stitch and to stitch them all on one piece of fabric. And then I only have one giant thing to finish instead of finishing like, you know, 20 small things, because I don't like finishing. I would not finish 20 small things, like fully finish. I wouldn't frame 20 small things or do anything. I would probably just stitch them and end up throwing them somewhere where they would just never see the light of day again. So like I said, just one giant thing with a bunch of small charts on it. So some of the other charts that the website had that I would like to stitch was Professor Layton. They had a chart for him, and they also had the chart for Luke. There were characters from the game Disgaea, so they had Prinnies, which are the little exploding penguins from Disgaea, and then they also had, I think, a couple of the other characters. There were characters from Final Fantasy, there are characters from other anime shows, there was tons of Sailor Moon charts, there are, I think there was probably Harry Potter charts. I didn't really look in like the movie section, I mostly was looking in the video game section, but since Harry Potter is so big, I'm sure you could find tons of Harry Potter, like just like the characters to stitch. And so yeah, I just want to stitch a bunch of them all onto one piece of fabric, and then do some sort of like a border around it, and then maybe do some like decorative things inside. And by decorative, I really just mean like there was like keyblades from Kingdom Hearts, and so I want to do some of the keyblades and do those like maybe in between to divide like the characters from Bleach from the characters from whatever goes next to it. Or there were pins from the game The World Ends With You, and so those were like really small, and those could just be used to go like underneath to also separate things from different shows or video games. So there's that. And this is 18 count Ada 2/1 full cross, and like I said, it's a giant piece, so I can kind of do whatever I want, because like some of the charts were like a little bit bigger, so I have room to where like I could do a bigger one, like separating them like that, do like one bigger one and then like kind of surround it by little things. I don't know, but I have options. So there was that. And then the very last thing that I have to show is a new start, and it's I ended up purchasing 2 charts, and I had been looking at them for a little while. I have been really interested in stitching faces for some reason recently. I don't know if it's because like 2020 and like you can't be around people, and so like I'm like, I will make my own people to be around me because no one else can. I don't know. So I was looking at charts from Maxine Gadd on Imaginarium Cross Stitch. Her charts used to be on the Haid website, but she retired a few years ago from there. And so I have seen a lot of her charts from Haid, and I think that was how I knew her and knew to look on her website. And my sister is actually stitching 2 of her charts from Haid. She is stitching Autumn Harmony and Snow. And so I knew that I liked those charts, and so I went on there looking, and I ended up purchasing Autumn Harmony from Imaginarium Cross Stitch, and I ended up purchasing a chart called Mariner from Imaginarium Cross Stitch, and I will insert here what those look like. So Mariner is like a mermaid with like blues and greens, and I love blues and greens, and so I was like, that would be fun to stitch. And like I said, I've really been wanting to stitch people for some reason. I don't normally like want to stitch people that much. I'm normally into more like the Christmassy houses and like castle-y type things, but like I said, for some reason, people and faces I've been wanting to stitch. And so I ended up starting Autumn Harmony because I purchased it right around like the first day of fall. So I figured it was the perfect time to start a fall chart and stitch some fall colors. So here's where I got to on Autumn Harmony. I started in the center of the chart, which was like right around her chin area. I went up and I stitched her lips because I really wanted to get her lips done. And then I actually started working down to her neck and hair. There's a lot of parked threads on here. And then I decided I wanted to get her eyes done. So this eye is almost done, and then this eye I need to do next. And then after that, I want to get her nose stitched. So I think that I'm not going to be switching this chart out for a while because I really want to have her face more finished before I switch. And I'm stitching her on 18 count 2/1 full cross. And I plan on stitching Mariner on 18 count 2, and they will end up being, I think, almost the same size once they're finished. And yeah, so her head is ginormous. Like, it's like, is it bigger than my head? I think. And yeah, I really like this chart. It works on Pattern Keeper. When you purchase charts from Imaginarium Cross Stitch, you get to pick what size you want the chart to be. So she has a small size, a medium size, and a large size, and I ended up picking the medium size because I didn't want to go too small and lose detail, but I also didn't want to stitch a huge chart because, I mean, look at her face is already this big, so imagine how big her face would be if I went with the larger size. And then you also get to pick how many colors you want the chart to use. So I picked 100 colors for Autumn Harmony, and I picked 150 colors for Mariner. So yeah, there's that. I love her, and I will continue working on her until hopefully her face is more finished, because this is not a good look for her, you know. She needs a nose. Right now she's got kind of like almost like a Voldemort-y looking nose, and that's not cool. So there's that. And that is all that I have worked on since my last video. So you are all caught up. I hope all of you are doing well and staying safe. And yeah, so I will see everyone in my next video. Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Bye.